Okay, it's the same day. I just went home and ate, and I ate and came back to basically the same spot. But like right now, I'm like in traffic. Like I'm standing on the other side of traffic. And I feel like crossing the street. It was like whatever, man. I be getting nervous about crossing the street because I be having near-death experiences and stuff. Like I almost got killed in a. I was in like eighth grade. So I was in eighth grade and I just almost got hit by a car. I was crossing the street. It was like 3 days before eighth grade was over, and I was just crossing the street on my bike. And it was before school, and I had somebody on my pegs, and I had told them they were my back pegs. I had told them to get off of my pegs and walk across the street, and they did, And I ended up this car was going 40 miles an hour, and it hit my back tire. And my bike went in the air, I went in the air, I fell backwards, like on the back of my head, like flat, but backwards, and I was falling in slow motion. I can't explain that. I was falling in slow motion. It's like my brain had to slow down for me. I was falling in slow motion. That's so funny because it wasn't from a long distance to where I fell from a high distance, so I fell slow. Nah, man, it was like, I don't know how far up in the air I went, but it wasn't too far up. Less than 10 feet, I don't know. Less than 10 feet, I'm sure, though. So I'm falling backwards, slow motion. I hit the ground, and I don't feel any pain. But something tells me to touch my forehead, and I realize I'm bleeding out of the right corner of my forehead. Not like it wasn't oozing down my hand though. It was only where I touched it, So it was like, I don't know, more dry than just liquidy gushing out. So it was weird how that happened because several things made me feel like it was meant to happen that way. Because my mom she had just dropped me off at the neighborhood that I went to school in. My granddad's house in that neighborhood. We used to live there from middle school. And then at the very end of middle school, we moved to a neighborhood that was closer to where my high school was going to be. And so she dropped me off from the neighborhood we lived at to the neighborhood we used to live at where my middle school was. And then I went to the other neighborhood I used to live at to pick up my other friend and stuff. It was just daily routine. That's what I did every day. Get dropped off at my granddad's house, hop on my bike, go to where I used to live in the neighborhood, pick up my friend Malik, and we'd go to the school and get breakfast. You know what I'm saying? Just pick up the crew, go to school. So almost cost me my life, I guess. So basically, funny story, because I didn't die, so everything's funny if you don't die. So I get hit by the car, my bike gets hit by the car, I fly, I'm bleeding. My mom was like right at that corner. I don't think she saw it happen, but she was about to bust the corner when it was going down. And then when I'm on the ground and the people are next to me helping me, I see my mom at the corner of the street, like, Chad, I gotta drop off Kiwi at daycare, I'll meet you at the hospital. And I was like, oh shit, like, that's crazy. And then I found out many years later, just like 5 years ago actually, when I was 21 and stuff, right before I became Chadfilms, when I was in Miami for 2 months, I was talking to my nephew Puncher's mom, Denisha, and she told me that she and my brother, her baby dad, Quentin, they were driving down the street and she saw me, but she didn't know it was me, so that was cool. That it connected that much, and I didn't die, so it was like, my mom, she started teaching when I was born, so she was a first grade teacher my whole life, basically, until we moved up to Georgia. And so all through elementary, I went to the school she taught at. She taught at Leewood Elementary. I was in like the Kendall neighborhood. It was actually close to the neighborhood we moved to right before we moved from Miami. So, so all through elementary, I had to like not be a class clown too much because my mom worked there. You know what I'm saying? So middle school, oh boy, I went up wild. Like, oh my gosh, I'll have a segment just for that. But just certain topics I don't want to get into right now. You know, but yeah, man. If people look at me and wonder why I'm so calm and so chill, it's because the universe made me that way, bro. I was so immature. I was that smart kid that just used his smartness for evil, man. It wasn't like real evil, but just like mischief, man. Mischievous little kid, man. Getting into stuff, man. Just using my powers for bad, man. Just to get into stuff, man. I was just, you know what I'm saying? It was, dog, I'm telling you. You know, it wasn't nothing major, but it's just man, it's just like, we'll do that later. We got 3 minutes left. Bumping that Thug Life Volume 1. The only volume that ever dropped. But basically, so I get hit by the car right before middle school was over, and that made me realize that I was really immature in middle school, because that was a wake-up call for me. That was something that the universe was doing for me as a favor to show me that, you know, I needed to slow down, you know, something to show me a new perspective. So that accident, a near-death experience, really did give me a new perspective going into high school. And it probably is what made me so freaking cool as a freshman. Like, nobody could understand why I was so cool as a freshman. I was like one of the coolest freshmen in high school ever, man. I had like all the seniors on my dick as a freshman, because my brother was a senior the year before. You know what I'm saying? He was a quarterback, varsity quarterback, and he actually was not allowed to play. He was not allowed to play his senior year. Most likely it was like some type of conspiracy, basically, like, because there was no way that he was going to lose his spot. So the coach supposedly just went to one of the teachers and was like, hey, don't pass him so he can't play, so this other guy could play, because his senior year, that's when everybody wants to get their ticket to college. Well, whoever was second and third string quarterback, they weren't getting no shine because they were second and third string. Like, they didn't get no play action, and they couldn't win no play action. Whenever they tried to take it from my brother, they couldn't take it. So it was like, whatever. So, and that's weird, because the year I went to the school, the football team won state. So I'm pretty sure that just had to hurt my brother. You know, that really was very, you know, it almost makes it seem like the people that pulled my brother from playing, and it seems like it justifies it to them. Oh yeah, well, we won state right after him, so it's like he was bad. Nah, man, that wasn't fair. You know, my brother, we grew up on the same street as what's his name? See, that's so bad for me to say it like that. Is because I was gonna say Peter Ward, because that's one of my brothers. Like, I remember he had articles of him on the wall. So Peter Ward came to my mind, but it wasn't Peter Ward. It was Sean Taylor. Like, Sean Taylor's actually a real true childhood friend of my brother. Like, Sean Taylor actually knows me. Like, you know, like, rest in peace, Sean Taylor. But he actually knew I was alive because I was the little brother of one of his friends, and we live on the same street. Like, if I take you to my block that I grew up, 15413 Southwest 107 Court, 33157. No, 33157. You go to that address, man, on that same street, man, you just bust a turn and boom, that's Sean Taylor's childhood home right there. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, his dad's name is Pete. Like, I hear stories about how Pete was. You know what I'm saying? I hear stories about how Sean Taylor's little brother is right now, because Pete was the trainer. Like, you know what I'm saying? I just was a nerd. I just wasn't out there doing football and stuff, but I was definitely right there, somewhere on a bike, man, or making a movie. But, got 30 seconds. But, so yeah, that the near-death experience at like 13, 14 really turned me out. You know what I'm saying? It really brought me down a few notches. And my middle school teachers that I went to visit after I went to high school, after 9th grade, they could tell that I was more mature. Like, immediately, they could tell. So that's how I knew, because other people were telling me. I could just see it. I was calm as nigga.